is considered to be one of the most beautiful flowers that we know of. And so, to draw the parallel, we compare the Lord with the lotus. The lotus has many names in Sanskrit. Anybody know some of the names? Yes. Pankaj, another one. Kamala. Yes. Aravinda. That's right. So, and another one is Ambuja. Ambuja, Pankaja. Pankaja is a beautiful one. That's the one we'll see Queen Kunti is using. Ja means born from, Janma. And Panka means mud. It's the flower that is born from the mud. So that's why one of the names of lotus is Pankaja. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, text number 22. And repeat after me. Namaha Pankajanabhaya. Namaha Pankajamaline. Namaha Pankajanetraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. Namaha Pankajanabhaya. Namaha Pankajamaline. Namaha Pankajanetraya. Namaste Pankajangraye. A vision of lotuses. Queen Kunti continues, she prays, my respectful obeisances are unto you, O Lord, whose abdomen is marked with a depression like lotus flower. That's Pankaj Nabhi. Nabhi means the navel, the depression in the abdomen. Who are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers. Pankajamala or Pankajamaline. Pankajamali, Mali means one who wears a garland of mala. Whose glance is as cool as the lotus. The glance or the eyes of the Lord. Nama Pankaja Netraya. Netra means the beautiful eyes. And when he glances at you, it is incredibly beautiful. And then Namaste Pankajangraye. Angri means the feet. And Pankajangri means lotus feet. So whose glance is as cool as a lotus and whose feet are engraved with lotuses. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Here are some of the specific symbolical marks on the spiritual body of the personality of Godhead, which distinguish his body from the bodies of all others. They are all special features of the body of the Lord. The Lord may appear as one of us, but he is always distinct by his specific bodily features. Srimati Kunti claims herself unfit to see the Lord because of her being a woman. So Prabhupada is continuing on this theme of Kunti's humility. Because traditionally women weren't offered very forward roles, especially in terms of philosophy, teaching and things like that. Of course, she was a queen, so she was like empress of the whole world. But still, she is finding an opportunity to be humble. This is claimed because women, Shudras, labor class, and the Dvijabandhus, or the wretched descendants of the higher three classes, are unfit by intelligence to understand transcendental subject matter concerning the spiritual name, fame, attributes, forms, etc. of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Such persons, although they are unfit to enter into the spiritual affairs of the Lord, can see him as the Archa Vigraha, who descends to the material world just to distribute favors to the fallen souls, including the above mentioned women, Shudras, and Vijabandhus. Because such fallen souls cannot see anything beyond matter, the Lord condescends to enter into each and every one of the innumerable universes as the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who grows a lotus stem from the lotus-like depression in the center of his transcendental abdomen. And thus Brahma, the first living being in the universe, is born. Therefore, the Lord is known as Pankajanabhi. That's the first one. Nama Pankajanabhaya. The Pankajanabhi Lord accepts the Archa Vigraha, his transcendental form, in different elements. So these are, you can make a deity based on these elements. Okay, listen to these elements. It's interesting. In different elements, namely a form within the mind, a form made of wood, a form made of earth, a form made of metal, a form made of jewel, a form made of paint, a form drawn on sand, etc. All such forms of the Lord are always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, and there should be a soothing atmosphere in the temple of worship to attract the burning attention of the non-devotees always engaged in material wranglings. So here in our temple we decorate the beautiful form of the Lord with exquisite dressing and exquisite flowers. And just stepping near the deity form of the Lord, you feel this soothing atmosphere. You can sense the fragrance of the flowers of the Lord. And you forget all the harshness of the world you leave behind. Isn't it? You come from outside, you step in it, you feel an incredible difference. Because the Lord's presence is divine. And it makes a big difference in our lives. The meditators worship a form within the mind. Therefore, the Lord is merciful even to women, Shudras, and Vijabandhus, provided they agree to visit the temple of worship in different forms made for them. Such temple visitors are not idolaters, as alleged by some men with a poor fund of knowledge. All the great acharyas established such temples of worship in all places just to favor the less intelligent. And one should not pose himself as transcending the stage of temple worship while one is actually in the category of the Shudras and the women or less. One should begin to see the Lord from his lotus feet, gradually rising to the thighs, waist, chest, and face. One should not try to look at the face of the Lord without being accustomed to seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. Now, Srimati Kunti, because of her being the aunt of the Lord, did not begin to see the Lord from the lotus feet because the Lord might feel ashamed. And thus Kunti Devi, just to save a painful situation for the Lord, began to see the Lord just above his lotus feet, that is, from the waist of the Lord, gradually rising to the face and then down to the lotus feet. In the round, everything there is in order. So it's very interesting. Queen Kunti is taking darshan. Because Lord is right there in front of her. She's offering prayers and he's listening to her. And he's responding with his expressions on his face. And she's glorifying his beauty. In this world, there's nothing more delicate and soothing than the petals of a lotus flower. Such artistry is there in it. Of course, the Lord is much more beautiful than your lotus flowers. But this is the best we can do. So she offers this. Pankajanabi, and becomes his name. And then Prabhupada explains that from his Nabi, literally a lotus flower grows. And Lord Brahma is born. Now, an interesting point is about this repetition of the fact that women and Shudras, etc., have a hard time understanding the subject matters. This has been a topic of great discussion and great confusion also. Isn't it? We talk about it all the time. Srila Prabhupada explained many times. Once one Mataji asked, Prabhupada, is it true that women are less intelligent? Said, yes. If you think you are a woman, you are less intelligent. You are not this body. The moment you think you are a woman, you are less intelligent. You think you are a man, you are less intelligent also. See, you are not the body. And many, many times in letters he said, but the women in our ISKCON movement, they are more intelligent. They are no less intelligent than their brothers. Many times. You can look it up. You can Google it. He's written in letters. He's even said, you know how women always need protection? He has even said, the context where Arjuna is talking about who will protect the women. And Prabhupada said, Arjuna is talking about ordinary women. But these girls in ISKCON, in Hare Krishna movement, they are not ordinary women. They can protect themselves. They don't need protection. He actually went to that extent. So Prabhupada is actually very clear in some of these things when it came down to practical application, that the sisters are as good as the brothers in the matter of spreading Krishna consciousness. There are some letters like that. There are some purports also like that in the books. And he said in one purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita that people who are jealous, they criticize me for giving equal chance to women and men. But they don't understand that this is the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under the direction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, under the auspices of the Bhagavad Gita, and as an Acharya, we can make changes according to time, place, and circumstance. I've introduced a new thing in the history of Sankirtan movement, that to empower women also to go out. And those foolish people who are criticizing me and jealous fools, they will have to be satisfied with their own foolishness. These are his exact words. Because they cannot succeed in spreading Krishna consciousness like ISKCON has. That's what he wrote. So they're just jealous of the thing. So, according to time, place, circumstance, Prabhupada made adjustments. Otherwise, traditionally, women would take a back seat. But even here in these prayers, you can see women are not taking a back seat. Queen Kunti is number one. So, these are the paradoxes of the Bhagavatam that we have to contend with. And how do we resolve these paradoxes? By seeing how Prabhupada implemented them. How he treated his daughters, how he spoke about them, and how when men tried to oppress them and block them out, he came to the rescue and said, if you can't stand the women, you boys go to the forest. One time, in America, one of the devotees, he told Prabhupada, I think it's a good idea. We take all the women, round them up, send them to Australia. They start their own temple there. Can you imagine? So then we can be at peace, because women, they've caused too much disturbance. Prabhupada said, what's wrong with you guys? You have lost your mind? If you can't maintain your mind and sanity, you boys go to the forest, those who cannot stand it. And those who can stand, they can stay in the temples. Because otherwise, how are you going to maintain you go out in the street, you can't control your sense. You can't tell the women, you have to come out of my way. No. That's what he explained. Prabhupada empowered women. But he also explained the traditional history behind it. You see, this is a traditional history. The olden times. Now, this particular scenario is a little bit confusing for Kunti Devi what to do. Because I know he's a Supreme Lord. At the same time, he's also my nephew. It would not be appropriate if I touch his feet. So I can do like this, that's okay. Also, it will not be appropriate if I start offering prayer from his feet. She could have said, Namaste Pankajangre first. But no, she started with the Nabi. She went in the full circle and it says, in the round, everything there is in order. It doesn't matter. Okay? After glorifying his beauty, then she glorifies another aspect. How Krishna is the supreme rescuer. Okay, repeat after me. Yatha Hrishikesha Khalena Devaki Kamsena Ruddhati Chiram Sucharpita Vimochitaham cha sahatmaja vibho Tvayaiva nathena muhur vipakana. O Rishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious king Kansa, and me and my children also from a series of constant dangers. So now she's reminding him what he has done for her and for Devaki, his own mother. The Purport Prabhupada explains, Devaki, the mother of Krishna and sister of King Kansa, was put into prison along with her husband Vasudev because the envious king was afraid of being killed by Devaki's eighth son Krishna. He killed all the sons of Devaki who were born before Krishna, but Krishna escaped the danger of child slaughter because he was transferred to the house of Nanda Maharaj, Lord Krishna's foster father. Kunti Devi, along with the children, was also saved from a series of dangers, but Kunti Devi was shown far more favor. Note, Kunti was given more favor than even Devaki, because Lord Krishna did not save the other children of Devaki, whereas he saved the children of Kunti Devi. Interesting, isn't it? This was done because Devaki's husband Vasudeva was living, whereas Kunti Devi was a widow. There was none to help her except Krishna. The conclusion is that Krishna endows more favor to a devotee who is in greater dangers. Sometimes he puts his pure devotees in such dangers because in that condition of helplessness, the devotee becomes more attached to the Lord. The more the attachment is there for the Lord, the more success is there for the devotee. So, devotees who are advanced, they welcome dangers. Not purposely that, okay, let me jump in front of a car. But when they come, they accept them as the mercy of the Lord. And it's an opportunity for me to more intensely pray. Because until now, I was taking a little bit for granted. The Lord does these things. He puts us through trials and tribulations. So Kunti now is remembering these trials and tribulations. And she is basically rewriting the Mahabharata, but now from the point of Krishna. See, when Vyasadeva was feeling sad and his guru Narad Muni said, why are you so sad? I'll tell you why you're sad. Because you did not put Krishna in the center of your books. Even Mahabharata was focused on the other stories. Krishna was like a side story. Then he said, yes, you're right, I'm going to rewrite everything. So he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam with Krishna in the center. And he rewrote the Mahabharata through this narrations of devotees like Queen Kunti. So this is a Mahabharata retelling. Vishan Mahagne Purushad Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Kritrata Mridhe Mridhe Neka Maharatha Shrato Draunyastratascha Harer Bhirakshita. My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake. You know who ate the poisoned cake? Bhima. Bhima as a kid, he was given a poisoned cake. From a great fire, this was set in that Lakshagraha, the fire, the house made of lac. From cannibals, these are like Rakshasas living in the forest. From the vicious assembly, Asat Sabha. What happened in vicious assembly? They tried to insult Draupadi, but Krishna saved her from the insult. From sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought, the big Mahabharata war. You know, these prayers are after the war, right? And now, most recently, you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwathama, Drauni Astra. Drauni means the son of Drona, and the Astra. Astra is that weapon, Brahmastra. Krishna personally saved, he brought back to life Parikshit Maharaj. So she's now recounting. But now from the point of view of how great Krishna is. See? In the other Mahabharata, in the Mahabharata angle, the focus is not how great Krishna is. The focus is on how intriguing the situation is. You see? Here, point is Krishna. That's why Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. Now she's saying, you saved us from these trials and tribulations. Do you think she said, okay, thank you, now please no more? Eh? No, I've had enough of this. No. She says what? Let there be more calamities. Interesting. Vipada santuta shashvad tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsya apunar bhavadarshanam. Says, I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, Puna, so that we can see you again and again. For seeing you means we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. I mentioned this earlier. It is not that she has a taste for pain. Some people actually have a morbid taste for pain. Yeah, give me, it feels nice. She's not like that. She's not saying, give me more pain, it makes me remember you more. No, she's not even saying that. She's saying somehow, whenever those calamities come, you always show up at our door. Always. And if that's what it takes for us to see you, then let there be calamities. Why? Because when I take your darshan, bhavata darshana, bhavata means yours. It's in respect in Sanskrit. Bhavato darshana syat. Apunar bhava darshanam. I will not have darshan of punar janma, punar bhava. I will not see this repeated cycle of birth and death. That is the purifying factor of seeing you, my Lord. Purport. Generally, the distressed, the needy, the intelligent, and the inquisitive who have performed some pious activities worship or begin to worship the Lord. So now he's saying the pious people. These are 4 categories of pious people who worship the Lord. Not everybody is going through problems will worship the Lord. There's impious people who are doing what? Others who are thriving on misdeeds only, regardless of status, cannot approach the Supreme due to being misled by the illusory energy. Most of the population of the world is in that category. They will keep trying, but they will not turn to the Lord. Therefore, for a pious person, if there is some calamity, there is no alternative than to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord means preparing for liberation from birth and death. Therefore, even though there are so-called calamities, they are welcome because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord, which means liberation. One who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are accepted as the most suitable boat for crossing the ocean of nations, can achieve liberation as easily as one leaps over the holes made by the hoofs of a calf. Such persons are meant to reside in the abode of the Lord, and they have nothing to do with the place where there is danger in every step. This material world is certified by the Lord in the Bhagavad Gita as a dangerous place full of calamities. Less intelligent persons prepare plans to adjust to those calamities without knowing that the nature of this place itself is full of calamities. They have no information of the abode of the Lord, which is full of bliss and without a trace of calamity. The duty of the sane person, therefore, is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities, which are sure to happen in all circumstances. Sure to happen. Guaranteed. Some calamity is going to happen. Repeatedly. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization because that is the mission of human life. The spirit soul is transcendental to all material calamities. Therefore, the so-called calamities are called false. A man may see a tiger swallowing him in a dream, and he may cry for this calamity. Actually, there is no tiger, and there is no suffering. It is simply a case of dreams. If someone is lucky enough to get in contact with the Lord, by devotional service, it is all gain. Contact with the Lord by any one of the 9 devotional services is always a forward step on the path of going back to God. So this world is a place of calamities, problems. What are some of the most common things, problems, calamities that we worry about? Disease, yes. Disease or death. Health, right? Basically disease. Mental health also, too much stress. It can get depressing, where you don't have physical issues, but you're so mentally depressed, you can't even come out of bed, you feel debilitated. But there's nothing wrong with you, no fever or anything. Mental health. What are other things we worry about? Old age. Old age is a problem. Death, of course, old age. What other things do we, a lot of the time we worry about? Yeah, some of these I've written down. Yeah. Physical and mental health. That means old age also falls under physical health. It goes down. Finance and career. Relationships, we worry. You know. The person I'm going to marry, will he like me? Will she like me? What if we get married and then we have to separate? You know. Okay, maybe we get married, but we are like each other, but then the mother-in-law doesn't like the daughter-in-law. That's another problem. You know. It's true, isn't it? It's a universal principle. Mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, they don't get along. You know, once a boy, he brought 3 girls to show his mother. They're sitting in the sofa. And he asked his mom, so which of these 3 girls do you think I have chosen as my wife? I want to quiz you. And the mother said, yeah, the one on the right side. Hey, how did you know? Because I hate her the most. It's easy. The one you hate the most, that's the one you're going to marry. It's a classic thing. They make TV series out of this, you know. So, relationships is a problem. In the Gita, Krishna calls the material world Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, a time-bound place of misery. In Sanskrit, the word him means what? You know, him? Baraf means snow or ice. So Himalaya means a place where there's nothing but ice and snow. You go to Himalaya, Alaya means a place where it's full of that. Himalaya. Then Pustakalaya means what? Library. Pustakalaya means, Pustak means book. Pustakalaya means a big library where nothing but books. Wherever you go, you touch something, books will fall on you. That's books, books, books everywhere. For some of us, this is like heaven. Ah, yes, books I read. And for others, it's like a nightmare. Books, don't show me books. You know who you are, but you know which ones you are. So Dukhalaya means a place where there's nothing but dukh. Wherever you turn, like Himalaya, Pustakalaya, Dukhalaya. Dukhalaya Shashvatam. Not only this world, but even this very body is designed to give us more pain than pleasure. Isn't it true? There's only a few ways you can enjoy, but million ways of suffering. To get into pain is so easy. Ah, yes. Always something is wrong with this body, you know. Once a patient went to the doctor, and the patient said, "Doctor, my whole body is like, I don't know what's wrong. When I touch my head, it pains. When I touch my knee, it pains. I touch my nose, it pains. I touch my ear, it pains, like anything. Touch my chin, it pains." Doctor said, "Come, let me see. Ah, your finger is broken. Your finger is fractured. If you touch anything, it's paining here." But always something wrong in our body. Even we can't figure out. We have to go to doctor, and doctor laughs at us. But it's a problem. Body is designed to give us pain. So, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. Money, finance. How many of us don't worry about finance? Some of us, I think, have a lot of money. But generally, money is always a problem. No matter how much you have, it's never enough. The most famous Swahili song, Pesa Zasumbua Roho Yangu. This song is so famous they still sing it. It's been many, many decades old. Nashindwana Mali Sina Way. We're thinking about this. It bothers us. It affects our life. We feel defeated by lack of money, even though there's really no need to worry so much. And then our relationships. You know, our good name in society. Sometimes we have legal issues, something bad happens. It's a huge calamity. But Krishna says this is a world of non-stop issues. There's no point complaining. Our existence in this world is like struggling alone in the ocean. But remembrance of Krishna turns this ocean into a tiny puddle, the size of a calf's hoof print. We read that, right? Just now in the purport. Not even a cow's hoof print, a calf's hoof print. Very small. See? That is the power of remembrance of Krishna. You know, our scriptures, they're full of all kinds of rules and regulations. Do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. These are vidhis, do them. These are nishedas, don't do them. But there is one vidhi and one nisheda that rules all of them. That is, everything is a servant of those two. You know what that is? Yes. Smartavya satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na jatuchit, sarve vidhi nisheda syur, etayor eva kinkara. Kinkara means servants. So all the vidhis and nisheds are servants of these two. The do is always remember Krishna, and the don't means never forget Krishna. Avoid forgetting, always remember Krishna. You see? So when we remember Krishna, anything we do in our life that promotes the remembrance, positive, loving remembrance of Krishna, that is called bhakti. That's all we have to do. But it's hard to do it if you just sit and do it. So it's better to do physical things, actual practical things. So it prompts us to remember him all the time. Now in the purport, Prabhupada explains the duty of a sane person. The duty of the sane person is to be undisturbed by worldly calamities which are sure to happen in all circumstances. This is our duty. If we are sane, we have to remain undisturbed. Dukheshu anudvigna mana, sukheshu vigata spriha, vitaraga bhaya krodha, sitadir muni ruchyate. Dukheshu anudvigna, not disturbed when there's some pain, some inconvenience. And sukheshu, when something pleasant comes, also don't get too hyper, too excited. Okay, calm down. Remain peaceful throughout. But how can we possibly avoid being disturbed by these major calamities? We can barely remain calm even in little inconveniences, isn't it? We get bugged by so many little things. When major calamities come, we lose it completely. What is the key? How do we move through this one? The key is tolerance. This is just taken from the same purport. I'm just copy-pasted from the same purport. Suffering all sorts of unavoidable misfortunes, one should make progress in spiritual realization, because that is the mission of human life. We have to. We don't have a choice. If we don't have a choice, then we should tolerate. In fact, the tolerance is so valued. Tolerance is the key to our liberation. Did you know that there's a very famous verse in the prayers of Lord Brahma to little Krishna, the 10th canto? Lord Brahma prays, Tattenu kampang susumikshamano, bhunjana evat makritam vipakam, hridvag vapurbhir vidadhan namaste, jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. That, my dear Lord, a person is eligible to go back to Godhead, his rightful claim, his ticket is valid when he continues to tolerate the pains and sufferings that are coming to him due to his own misdeeds. Vipakam. Vipakam means fully cooked, fully prepared. What? Our own karmas. When they get fully cooked, they come and hit us. And we tolerate them. And how do we show tolerance? Hridvag vapurbhir vidadhan namaste. Even while suffering that, we offer obeisances to the Lord. Hrid, with our heart, with our words, vag, with our body, vapur. Then jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. But a very important word in this verse, which is my favorite word, and this makes this verse my favorite verse in the Bhagavatam, is tatte Anukampa. You know what is anukampa? Mercy. You know what anukampa actually means? What does kripa mean? Mercy. What does daya mean? Mercy. Anukampa also means mercy, but a special flavor of mercy. What makes it special? Anukampa, if you take about the words, kampa comes from kampana, trembling. And anukampa means he trembles along with you. Sometimes we may think Krishna cannot have feelings like me. He doesn't know exactly how I feel. He brings himself down to our level of anxiety, and even he trembles along with you. Then he feels your pain, and from that perspective, he gives you the relief. Can you imagine? You know, if you have a close friend that you open up your heart to, you're crying, and the close friend, she also starts crying because she feels your pain. That is called anukampa. She also feels. This level of mercy that Krishna gives is anukampa. He comes so close to you that he resonates with your feeling. I know how you feel, my dear son, my dear daughter. I'm feeling your pain. I'm vibrating. Anukampa. See, how sweet is that? Beautiful. We wait for that level of mercy while suffering our vipakam. And how do we do it? We have to offer obeisances, hridvagvapurбhir. Heart, words, and body. So, what makes this tolerance possible? You say, okay, tolerate, fine, but it's so hard to tolerate. In the purport, Prabhupada gives the answer, same purport. This purport gives keys to everything. That is the beauty of the Bhakti Vedanta purports. The keys are there. The understanding reality makes tolerance possible. Right? He says, in the dream, in the nightmare, the tiger is eating you. But sometimes, you know, you're in a dream and you realize you're in the dream, so you don't take it seriously, but you still go through the dream. Have you had that experience? You're in the dream, the cars are moving around, something's happening, but you realize, this is just a dream, it's okay. Let it go on, I'm just sleeping anyway. We feel that. This happens. You know, he said, always follow your dreams. But if you see a bathroom in your dream, don't use it, okay? Wake up and use the real bathroom, okay? So don't follow all the dreams. When you're sleeping, you should know you're in a dream. The dream, when you recognize it, it makes tolerance easier. It happens, this is life only, you know, so what? It's just a short life anyway. That person genuinely understands this reality, it makes tolerance possible. It's still tolerance. That's why we have to get together like this and remind each other the philosophy. Don't be lazy about studying philosophy because it makes your mind strong. Siddhanta bolye chitte na karo alash. Mahaprabhu said, don't do alas in this matter of understanding philosophy because it makes your mind, yeha Krishna kore, shudrida manash. It makes your mind strong in Krishna consciousness. Don't be lazy in memorize verses. Don't be lazy in discussing these things. Don't be missing classes like this. So when you go home, you reflect, it's life. It's not worth getting so worked up about it. Don't sweat the small stuff. It is all small stuff. So, I want to summarize the teachings of Queen Kunti. We only covered a few verses, okay? But the essence, we get some of it. Within these prayers of Queen Kunti, we find the right way to live with our calamities while being absorbed in the lotus beauty of Krishna. Namah Pankajanabhaya. Even as we are crying the tears of our pain, we can still cry in front of Krishna. Namah Pankajamaline, the beautiful garland of lotuses. Namah Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajambre. Prior to that verse, beautiful verse, Kunti said, Krishnaya Vasudevaya, Devaki Nandanaya, Nanda Gopa Kumaraya, Govindaya Namona. We covered that last night. It was very beautiful. More and more beauty. So this lifestyle of Krishna consciousness, what is it about? These teachings of Queen Kunti, they invite us to look deeper. They invite us to see the greater reality of life. Yesterday we learned about a purpose-filled life. And today she taught us how we can fly through the inevitable calamities of life. And our calamities are nothing compared to what she went through, okay? And this process does not stop, this process of Krishna consciousness, it will not stop the rainstorms in your life, but it will give you an umbrella to tolerate them. That is key. You see, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is said, it reverses the effects of Kali Yuga, isn't it? Iti Shodasha Namnam Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. How does it work? We're still seeing Kali Yuga everywhere, very heavy. But if you've been to America, it's so cold in the winter time, it's ice and snow everywhere. Doesn't mean that you go outside in shorts and t-shirt. No, you wear the proper jackets and the gloves and the hats and everything. Then you can survive. So Kali Yuga is like the winter season, heavy. But you wear the right coats that protects you. That's the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Then you can walk around confidently. Even in the middle of Kali Yuga, you can survive, you can thrive, you can grow and be stronger. So if you are not already chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, please start. I was discussing with Prabhuji earlier before the class. How do you prove the existence of the soul? How do you prove this thing works? It's like asking, how do you prove the honey is sweet? You can't prove it. You have to taste it. I can't prove. No amount of formulas, even I read a thick book of how sweet honey is, will prove it to you how sweet honey is. You can't prove it like that. You have to taste it. That's all. Then I don't have to say anything. You taste it. Please chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Give it a chance. And if you want to learn how to meditate, our devotees can teach you how to sit properly and meditate. They'll gladly share the methods. The lifestyle of Krishna consciousness is only positive. It's a healthy environment free from self-destructive habits. We're cultivating higher qualities and values. We're developing genuine respect and love that is beyond this bodily concept. And we want to go back home, back to Godhead, where we actually belong. So, you taste. You can try right now. Let's chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Because I noticed that some of you were not taking the full advantage of the human form of life, which means you're not chanting. So let's try again. This time I want to see everybody chant. Put your hands up like me. Okay, imagine you're in a bank and there's a bank robber giving. No, don't imagine that. Just imagine you're in front of the Lord. Hands are up. And chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Jai Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you all very much for this opportunity. It's been a real honor to be with all of you and to share some few of the verses and a few words that I have, read. I may not have many realizations, but I've read them. I'm just repeating them. Thank you for giving me this chance. It is always a pleasure to serve in Nairobi. It's very dear to me. I was born here. I grew up here, and my Krishna consciousness started right in this temple back in 1991. And I'm still trying to improve myself. So if I made any mistakes, kindly forgive me. You can also correct me if you like. I'll appreciate that. Hare Krishna. Now, if you have any questions, we can ask. If you have any comments, discussions. Yes. Kamita Prabhu. Oh, we have the microphone over there.
Krishna Prabhu, first we'd like to appreciate all the insights and the very inspiring words that you breaking down all these purports, Kunti's words, and Krishna's presence. So my question is on the part where you summarized and said that we should go through the calamities being focused on the beauty of the Lord.
Yes.
And also, I think it's the next one.
This one.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's the same way Krishna told Arjuna, think of me and fight. The fighting is a calamity.
Yes. It's a disaster. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So in our practical days, or our practical life, when we are fighting a calamity, we ought to be in that present moment, fighting the calamity or doing the thing, or sort of using our energy and our intelligence and our mind to be there present at that time. How do we do this at the same time? How do we think of the beauty of Krishna without our hearts being softened and facing away from the calamity, and therefore it perhaps becomes a bigger calamity because we have sort of.
Yeah, it's a good question. Very good question. How can I focus on two things at the same time? I may become less efficient. When he told Arjuna, you think of me and you fight, does that diminish Arjuna's capacity to aim properly, for example? It could. Because now you're trying to juggle too many thoughts. You should focus on the mantra of the arrow and shoot it. What Krishna is saying is, you make me the goal of your life. You see, suppose you're working in any industry, suppose you're working in computers, as an example, but your goal is to become, say, a director of a computer company, something like that. That's your goal, and you have a 20-year goal or 15-year goal. I want to be director. I'm just starting now, and this is my plan. So I'm very excited about that goal, you see. But when I'm doing my programming and all the different tasks that I'm supposed to do, I'm not always thinking director. But because in the back of my mind, my whole orientation in life is toward that goal, I will actually be better at it. I'll give you another example. Even if you're working, but suppose you found the right person and you just got engaged to her. Now all day you're thinking about her, how nice she is, and I can't wait, I'll give her this gift, and I'll write her this letter, but you're still working. You have convinced yourself, oh, I'm not going to be lazy at work anymore. I'm going to be so good. I'll be a perfect husband. I'll make good money for our children, a nice house. But the climate of your heart is saturated with love, you see. So you can be saturated with love and actually be more effective because now you have something to live for, you see. So it's not necessary that it'll always be a distraction. It can be an impetus, not an impediment, if you approach it with a healthy way. That is what Krishna is telling. We have to be Krishna Mati. Mati means, what is your orientation in life of your conscience? Where are you headed? What is your goal? In Gujarati, we have a saying, Jevi Mati, Devi Gati. Means wherever you're oriented, that's where you'll end up. You will end up there. Gati means your destination. So if I'm facing towards Mombasa and I keep working towards it, keep moving, using different vehicles, eventually I reach Mombasa. But that doesn't mean that you will lose the effectiveness of your bicycling or driving the car or whatever it is you're doing. So if you have the right orientation in life, you're driven by the right impetus, it can actually make you better. So there are healthy ways of approaching it. I hope that helps, those examples. Yes? Hare Krishna. Good question though. Yes, Prabhu. Can you pass the microphone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
For the nice lecture. So we learn from the scripture that we should serve Krishna according to his desire, Anukulena. So how do we understand it is Krishna's desire or our desire? Like, for example, if we lose a job, we may pacify ourselves saying, oh, that's Krishna's desire. And although it is against my desire, but that's Krishna who is doing ultimately right for us. He knows better than us. Sometimes we pacify ourselves like this. But also there is another way, like, for example, you want to wake up for Mangalarti and you are not able to. And then when you wake up late, you feel it is also against the desire, but I can't say that, oh, it is according to Krishna, it is Krishna's desire. So how do we understand, how do we find a difference? What is that line? It is our desire and this is Krishna's desire.
Yes, it's a good question. And it's not an easy answer for that one because it varies from situation to situation, right? One thing we have to understand, not everything that happens is Krishna's desire. That's critical. I think, how is that possible? Not even a blade of grass moves from here to here without Krishna's sanctioning. So how can it be possible that something happens that he didn't desire? Isn't it? Practically everything in the material world that happens, he didn't desire. Practically everything. The fact that he even has to make a material world, he doesn't desire it. You think he's happy? Isn't the government is happy when they have to build prison houses? No. But it's a necessity. It's not the desire, it is a requirement. Just because he sanctions something doesn't mean he desires it. He sanctions, he allows something to happen because we are throwing the tantrum. We are insisting, we are shouting, no, I want this, I want this. Okay, fine, I'll do something. So that is our situation. Now, coming to certain circumstances, say I lost my job. The healthier way, especially if it is not within my control, is to tolerate it and just accept that, my Lord, this is obviously either my karma, I have to learn something from it, I'll try to figure out what there is to learn, and I'll move on with life. Ultimately, even those we call calamities are not big things. We just discussed that. It's part of dream anyway. But it causes us a lot of inconvenience, a lot of pain. But there could be a lesson learned also. I know exactly why I lost my job. I was told repeatedly by my manager, hey, you ought to come on time. Supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, you're coming at 10:30 every day. Now, if at 10:30 every day I'm coming and then I lose my job and say, Krishna, that was your desire. No, that's foolish. That is my foolishness. That shows that I am not doing my due diligence. So if I fail in my due diligence, then you can't blame Krishna for even those kind of things. If I hit my head on the wall and I get hurt, I say, Krishna, what is this? I shouldn't have got hurt. I hit my head. You see. So we cannot blame Krishna for the results of our foolishness. Now, sometimes it may not be an obvious thing. It may be hard to see. As long as we have done our due diligence, we are honest workers and we work hard. We work hard to please Krishna. And we represent Krishna properly. Remember, we're representing Krishna. People know we are Hare Krishnas. And then we are dishonest in our work. It gives a bad name to Krishna, gives a bad name to Hare Krishna movement and things like that. So we should do due diligence, should be better because we're representatives. And then, even in spite of all our best efforts, things go sideways, then we can accept the mercy of the Lord. Sometimes bad things happen, it turns out to be a good thing. Blessing in disguise. We've had that many experiences. Someone missed a flight. I can't believe I missed the flight. I woke up late. I was stuck in traffic. And then that flight was flown into the World Trade Center. Oh, it's good I missed the flight. So, we might think it's a bad thing, and it turned out to be a good thing. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, on behalf of ISKCON Nairobi, we would like to really thank His Grace Madana-gopāla Dāsa. Let's give him a big round of applause. So, Prabhu, we have a 2-day seminar here about Kunti Devi, Queen Kunti. And really, we can see how much difficulty she went through. Like he was explaining yesterday, she was a queen, but seeing her children suffering was very painful. But in that intensity of pain, still, she didn't give up her spiritual consciousness. And as Prabhu yesterday mentioned, I really took this to heart. The meaning of the word Gita, who remembers? Gratitude is the attitude. So in our spiritual life, if we can pick up this thing, that gratitude is the attitude, to always become grateful, even if we're going through some difficulty. And this way we'll be spiritually connected. So really, we'd like to thank Madana-gopāla Prabhu for coming all the way from America to travel in East Africa. And we wish him a safe journey whenever he's going back in 2 weeks. And we pray he can always come back again to inspire us. His Grace Madana-gopāla Prabhu ki! Thank you very much. There will be some prasad for the boys at the training center, and for the other devotees, you can have something at the temple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.